Okay, we're going to get started in just a moment here. We're talking about legal contracts, AI contract review, and transaction automation. I want to start by saying, first and foremost, I am not an attorney and this is not legal advice. This is advice on how to use AI to the maximum to be able to have meaningful conversations with people like clients, with people like lawyers, with people like CPAs, any type of professional. So it's trying to lean in on the technology that I know that you're using and using for the right reason. With that said, we're going to let the mob in. For those of you who've come to this meeting quite a bit, you know that I have my mob that's out there. We're going to be bringing them in right now. Here we go. Okay, welcoming everyone into our meeting, along with all the robots. All the robots are joining us. This is great stuff. Look at all the beautiful people. Renat, you're driving. Please, I told you this before. I did my DNA search and I'm 3% Jewish grandmother. So if you're going to drive with the camera on and the kid in the back, no less, please, please, please be very careful. I don't want to see you looking at me, okay? So yes, that's what my DNA said. 3% Jewish grandmother, which is why I worry about everything. Okay, it's just one of those things. Okay, at this point, all of you should have the workbook, and I'm sure Aton is going to put it up in the chat for everyone to take a look at as well. We're going to be discussing this. I also want to start, and said this as the meeting was just getting together here. I am not an attorney, and this is not legal advice. So you need to know that this is a conversation to learn how to have meaningful discussions with your AI and your clients and your CPA and your lawyer. Um, this is a great review. It's a great starting point with conversations. And in fact, sometimes it gives better advice than, in my experience, than the legal side of stuff has. That said, I need to be very, very clear. AI hallucinates. There are things that go wrong. And I don't want this to be construed as any legal advice. So does everyone understand? Please nod wildly. Yes, Ed, I understand. Ooh, yeah, we're not going to sue you. Not today. Okay, good. So we get that all together here. Who's been using AI from a legal standpoint? My this year, if you've noticed, we've really kind of picked up. A lot of people went from using AI as kind of like Google to listening to what we have to say here and realizing that there's stuff that it could do autonomously provided that you don't let it act like a drunken soldier, or we could do some stuff autonomously. Who's doing some legal stuff right now on AI? Who's done some questions or who's has had some success with that? Renat is raising his hand. Renat, when you come to a traffic light and you could unmute, please do. But I meant what I said before. I get very nervous. Who else? Greg or Jonathan, Hedeka?
De-
Anyone?
define define legal stuff.
Okay, good question. Have you reviewed your contracts with it? Have
Yes.
you asked various questions such as, uh, can I make a something in additional terms? Or can you review stuff in additional terms? I don't know what the laws are in your area, Greg, and I say this very carefully as I've been throughout this meeting.
So,
Sorry, but first,
RLL,
can you just introduce yourself and tell everyone where you are?
I've always wanted to say this. No. Yes, of course. I'm Greg Coggins and I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. Um,
Okay.
if you haven't heard me say it before, it's halfback. For those people who go from New York to Florida and realize it's painfully miserable in Florida, they make the trip halfway back and stop in Charleston and settle here. Um, so anyway, halfback city. Um,
Okay. Well,
the
and for those of you who want to stick around for the brawl in the parking lot afterward, I'm going to be giving this guy a lesson here. But go ahead, Greg. Go on.
No, all I'm saying is if you're in South Florida, I welcome your referrals.
Okay.
Um,
I'm just screwing with
so
you.
um, contract review. I had an interesting thing happen yesterday. So we have a rule or a LLR regulation in South Carolina that prohibits us using from uploading personal information, personally identified, protected information into AI.
Okay.
So I had an interesting experience yesterday. I have a skill in Claude to do a review of a contract of an offer and summarize it and generate a really slick output for me to share with my seller clients. And it also instructs or the skill knows to identify strengths and weaknesses from the perspective of the seller. Well, I
Okay.
redact the contract to remove all personally identifiable information before I upload it. Well, I don't know how, but somehow yesterday Claude got underneath that redaction and captured all of the seller's name, the both brokerage names and agent's names, the buyer's name, addresses, MLS number. I mean, it alarmed me when I saw it. But in any event, I do
Well,
use
hold
it.
on. So
It
it
generates.
autonomously got information that it wasn't supposed to? You explicitly said no, or you just were surprised at how efficient it was? Or maybe
No,
something.
it all it had was the contract and the addenda that go with it. But names and address and tax ID number and all that stuff had been redacted.
Okay.
So I use a tool and I redact it. But that redaction is an overlay on the PDF. And somehow Claude saw beneath that overlay. I've got to figure out what I did wrong because it's never done that before. Um,
Okay.
I've got to figure out what I did wrong. I had to have done something wrong, or it's just getting super smart. In any event, it generates an output that summarizes all the key terms.
Uh-oh. Is it me or is he frozen?
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
It
Uh,
happened with the
It's the
Epstein
cloud.
files.
It's the cloud. It's the cloud.
it's the cloud, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened with the Epstein files. I was waiting for someone to bring up the bloody Epstein files here, okay? And just for the record, I'm not in the Epstein files, so
Claude realized that he was
Neither
being
am I.
mindful of it.
yeah, Claude shut him up. That was it. Hold on, Greg, we lost you for literally 25 seconds.
Oh no, where
Yeah.
did you? What
I think you're
was
you're
the last
taking
thing you
you're
heard?
taking up too much bandwidth. I don't know what happened. Not you're still frozen. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll try and get that. It's Greg. By the way, Greg's a great guy, notwithstanding the little humor that I have here. He's a good guy to get to know. But Greg, just to finish it up, the AI did some stuff that it knew a little bit too much. What was the outcome for you, just so that we could get a clear outcome to everybody?
A really nice document. I actually have a paper printout of it.
Hmm.
I don't know if I can hold it to the camera so that you can see it. Can you see that?
Well,
No,
you
it's
could
all.
unblur your background and then see it, but no, it's a little.
Um, let's
So
see if I can do that fast enough. How
okay,
about now?
offer
A
summary for
really
seller.
nice
Okay,
output that summarizes the offer.
okay,
Um, it's 2 pages. It even shows considerations for the seller as kind of the very last paragraph.
okay.
Um, bullet points. And I attach this to the offer and ship it off to the seller, and it makes it very easy to talk through the offer.
And everyone in the meeting, Greg referenced Claude Skills. If you were in last week's meeting, you learned all about Claude Skills. I just put into the chat here our bogen.ai video archive. If you go into that video archive, there is a video of that and every one of our meetings that we're doing here. I highly suggest you watch that. Again, it doesn't have to be a chore. It doesn't have to be something that's so terrifying and I've been using these Claude skills now. It's just taking AI to the next natural level. But Ed, I don't have Claude. Fine, it's going to ChatGPT probably in the next month. I mean, this is going to be the new standard of AI. Chatting was one thing, skills are something new. Please watch that to learn about it. Greg, thank you. Who else is using AI now for either document review, transaction management, organization? I'm just curious to hear about what you've got to say. I've got a lot to say, but I want to hear from you as well. And by the way, guests, anyone could jump in if you want to. Oscar, Michelle, Michael, Paula. I'm taking a look at all the people that are here. Tanya, got a whole bunch. Anyone? Lavette, Jorge, Irina. Nobody's using it. Okay, good. Well, then I'm glad that you're here because we're going to be doing some great stuff. Hold on, somebody unmuted. Was there? Okay. If you look into the workbook, and Eitan's been putting it into the chat here, this could be as large as anything. I mean, this we could really go down any rabbit hole when it comes to transaction management. What I try and do is put myself into these meetings. What I'm trying very hard to do is to put how I use this, saying that you don't need to be me, you don't need to use it the way I'm using it, but I am telling you that I'm making money and I'm having success with this stuff. So if you're curious to see what we're doing, please, Aton periodically in the meeting is going to put up this workbook, which by the way was assisted with a Claude skill, just to give the plug back to that. And there's 4 transaction dominating systems that you need to know. One is the risk radar. That is where you actually get in with the AI and review the document. We've got a series of prompts that you could use depending upon how comfortable you are with the document, with putting information. For example, I put redacted information off my tax return into the AI. Now, Jonathan, who's a finance guy, is saying, "Oh my God, I wouldn't put my Social Security." You're right, don't. That's not what you want to do, but you're able to get a real meaningful conversation about just what your accountant did with your tax return. Bet you didn't consider that. It's just some really interesting stuff. So you're going to be able to find out. And there's some meaningful prompts in here that it will tell you how to review. So the risk radar was one. Never miss the never miss engine. This is a deadline automation system. So taking a look at a contract, one of the things that you'll see is usually, at least if you're in real estate, we are very, very deadline oriented. We've got plenty of people in here who are not in real estate. I hope you're deadline oriented as well. But this is a great way to check it. And again, there's prompts for this. The client whisperer. So that's a communication autopilot so that as things go on within the transaction, you could set the tone for how you want to communicate that stuff to the client. Overwhelmingly, the number one reason that you lose business or you don't get renewed business is the lack of communication. And I hear from all of you, I don't know what to say. Today, we now have an assistant in helping you understand what to say and how to say it. Always put the disclaimer in. You're not a lawyer, you're not an accountant, but to be able to say, bring up meaningful conversations. For example, if we know that someone's deadline is coming up, that they need to have that you've got a closing coming up in a week, you might have this send out what to expect or what naturally goes on in the process to the clients. It might just be a great thing, but by the way, we need to actually get this information out. ChatGPT with these prompts will build a timeline for you, which you could either A, do yourself, which I like, B, outsource to someone else, which I like even more. I like the little balloons here. Or C, be able to automate, which I love it the most. So that's what we're really working toward, and that's what we're really seeing. And by the way, all of this is going to be old news in a couple of months, but you're hearing it now first here. Then there's the Document Command Center, Intelligence and Planning System. So you can handle the volume of documents within a transaction. What does that mean? We unfortunately had a dispute with a realtor. I'm not going to go into the details of that. If anyone's ever filed a grievance against someone or had a grievance filed against you, which isn't fun, you'll know that the volume of paperwork that has to get done is endless. And just, you could use this one piece of advice alone and love me for it. And that is go to your, I have a Macintosh and I'm using it for sending texts and sending WhatsApps. What we've done in the past is you know how you might get a thread that goes on for like months? If you're talking to a client, you might have the same thread. Nod wildly if you agree with me. Yes, Ed, I have that. Okay, good. So you could highlight the entire thread, put it into ChatGPT or Claude or any LLM, and get from it the context and the timeline that the communication actually took place. Now, a lot of you might say, well, that's the master of the obvious, but so many of you don't do it. It's so easy. Now you're able to actually get the context of what was been said for the longest period of time. And in the case of a grievance, you're able to actually go out and go after some people with their own words, with things that actually took place. Again, I don't want to be too negative. It's bad karma. It's kind of bullshit. I don't want to be that guy. But I will say that sometimes you have to defend yourself, and sometimes you got to stand up for your rights. And I think that these are great communicators. So again, let's go through the 4 things: the risk radar, the never miss engine, the client whisperer, and the document command center. Again, in the the workbook from the meeting. So let's take a look at some of these things. AI contract review. So You can basically review any contract within just a few minutes. Again, not the only thing that you should be dependent upon. The other thing that we've done in past meetings, I've talked about AI stacking and why I think it's important for you to not only be subscribed to ChatGPT, but to also be subscribed to one other. I spend your money very carefully, guys. It's 20 bucks a month for each of these, so it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm asking for 4 lattes. Okay, I drink a lot of coffee. That's the cost of today. How much? Who goes to Starbucks? How much is a large latte at Starbucks now? Is it $10? Is it close? Oh, six. Okay, sorry. I'm asking for 6 or 7 lattes then. The point is that it's worth it to you to do this. I'm just telling you, it's a non-issue as far as expenses go, and it's going to save a ton of time. Subscribe to them. So one of the things that what's great with the AI is actually getting pattern recognition. Write that down. You're going to be able to see certain patterns in the communication that people have with you, whether it would be text messages or emails. You're going to be able to take a look at that, and there are prompts in here to get you the answer. Next, completeness checking. We had an issue in our office. You know, in South Carolina or New York or Dirk in Denver, is the contract standardized? Do you have a standardized contract from the Realtors Association?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay, we do too. Did you know that somebody could manipulate the information, at least in the state of Florida, on that and not tell you that they manipulated the information? And that's legal? Did anyone ever know that? How the hell could that be legal? What a bummer and what a douchey thing to do. I can't stand people who do that type of thing. Greg, what happened to you?
Well, I'm just going to say it's legal in as much as they're not practicing law. So if they manipulate that contract, they're practicing law. They better be a licensed lawyer.
Okay, maybe so, but you're going to be up to a whole hell of a problem if you don't notice that. So, a simple prompt by taking your AI. Greg was the one who was talking about Claude Skills before. I'd like to work with each of you about creating a Claude skill to review your most common contracts. Memorize word for word this particular contract and cross-reference it with whatever you got. I bet you never thought of that, did you? It's a great idea because now you're not playing lawyer here. You're just saying, is this document the same as this document? Or what are the differences between the two? Really important stuff because it starts to catch things. Another prompt that you could actually put into this. What more, I'm working with the buyer or I'm working with the seller, I'm working with the renter, investor, whatever you want to say. What more could be put into this agreement that I should bring up to his attorney that would help protect them a little bit more? What is actually missing from this? Again, it might be something that you never do, but just by actually bringing up in a meeting with a client, you're going that much higher and you're going to be that much more elevated in the value that you actually bring to them. Does that resonate with any of you? Maybe? Hello? Avez-vous compris? Anyone speak French? Hello? Aton? Okay.
Yes. Yes, it
Good.
resonates.
Thank you. Thank you. Dina saved the day. And by the way, your hair looks fabulous, Dina.
Thank you. Thank you. No, but with what Greg said, as far as practicing law, I'm not 100% sure so we recently had a situation where we put in an offer, went back and forth a bunch of times, and finally the contract got a little messy. The other realtor who was with another brokerage sent back a clean contract, right? Sends back a clean contract for our final thing. And it was just formatted a hair different than what we typically use at Douglas Elliman. And, I was happy that we put it through AI and compared the two contracts because I don't know that he would have been practicing law, but perhaps his brokerage had their lawyers prepare something slightly different that said something just a little bit different. And in a 13-page contract, I might not have noticed that sentence that might have hurt my buyer or made them more vulnerable in some way. So I'm not sure it would be us practicing law or even him practicing law. It's just what his lawyers put together and what he presents versus what we present. So, I think I actually love this, being able to compare contracts. I think that's an incredibly useful tool.
Sure. And I think that going in and actually creating a skill, if anybody's interested in it, I'll hold a separate meeting for the group of you. I really will. But first, I ask that you watch the Claude Skills video. Again, it's in the chat here. Bogen.ai/video archive, video hyphen archive. But it's pretty big. I think that it's a pretty big thing to learn. It's not that tough, and you're going to be learning it because it is kind of the new standard of what we're doing with all this. In any case, there's other things that we do. One of the things that I always call it, I called it the Edmund's FOS detector. It stands for full of shit. Is this guy full of shit? You get bullshit artists all the time coming at you. Here's the meaningful prompt. Write this down. Taking a look objectively at this fill in the blank, email, contract, whatever. Is the person who wrote this lying? Please give me the answer on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being completely honest, or 10 being a complete fabrication. Or you can reverse the numbers, however you want. You get the point that if you actually put that together in there and put this out. Here, I got an email within my community from a senior level person. It sounded a little legalese. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how to read this stuff. But I put it in and asked ChatGPT on a scale of 1 to 10. It gave it about a 5. Well, that's, 50% chance it's lying. That's not good. I put it into Claude. It gave it about a 4. I put it then into another one. So these things are actually reading it, but more importantly, it pointed out the points that I should be able to bring up in a conversation. So it's not practicing law in this instance. It's just giving you some advice as to how you could have a meaningful conversation with the people that you're receiving this information from. That is the difference between someone who's actually using AI in a meaningful way and someone who's just using it as Google. We've arrived at this bold time where you're about to see some massive changes. I'm very fearful for my daughter who's wants to be a journalist. There's no room for new journalists in the next couple of years. There's just not. I'm not one to engage in fantasy. Now she's a smart kid, got into a great university. She's going to find something to do. So I'm not so scared for her. But I am looking at this on a societal level that if you don't take the time to really learn how to operate this and realize that this is something much greater than a Google search, I think it's really important for you to know. Anyway, there's one final thing here. Analyze all contingencies on this list. List each contingency with the exact terms and timeline. Identify what triggers contingency removal. Note what happens if the contingency is not satisfied. One thing I would add to this, explain it to me in plain English. Okay, sorry, we missed that there. I should have definitely had that. Flag any contingencies that seem unusually short or restrictive. Identify standard contingencies that are missing, and then from there, attach the contract and take a look. Great stuff. I mean, it really is. It's poetry. You're just able to get so much more than you were considering. The biggest thing that you need to do is live deliberately, is to really stop and think to yourself, what am I going to do on a day-to-day basis with the stuff that I'm getting? Is there other things that I could do with the contracts? In other words, is there something that I could create on social media from a contract that I had received? Now, what do I mean by that? Obviously, you're not going to disclose client secrets on social media, but what you might want to do is talk about if there was some unusual terms, can you pull that out of here and maybe make a social media post explaining it without violating the privacy of the client? I'm always looking for content for you guys because it's out there. It's simple as hell to get today. It's simple as hell to get today. And actually, if we could digress for 1 second, you got my permission to go away from the screen for a second here. If you open up Claude or ChatGPT, especially if you're subscribed to it, you could ask this question. Based on what you know about me and based upon what's currently in the news, give me 10 social media posts that are both timely and interesting, or would be interesting to my clients. And you can fill in the blank. I've got 2 sets of clients. I got you as coaching clients, and I've got buyers and sellers. That's basically my world. So what can you put that together and put that out there? And guess what? It's going to return some great stuff. But another thing, if you're actually using the Claude Skills, which Jorge was my canary in the coal mine last week, I demonstrated how to make a Instagram reel out of his content. Again, I highly suggest you take a look at that video. Eitan, we really do need to revisit that topic I think next month. I think everyone really, it's important, and I think everybody really liked it. I'm talking too much. Questions? Eitan, break out the sound effect of the crickets. Crick, crick, crick.
I'll work on that
You'll
next
work
week.
on that? Okay. So what else? Deadlines, really, really important stuff. We got tons of deadlines in this business. Every contract that you have, provided that you're legally able to put it in, check for guidelines. And one of the prompts you could say is the timeline realistic? Dina and I run into that all the time. Why? Because we work country clubs and HOAs. Guess what? They're going to move at their own pace. If they say 30 days to be approved, there's a club when they say 30 days. Dina, how many days do they mean? They mean 30 fucking days. They mean 30 days. And we really, who do I have to bribe to get this
Sometimes they
thing
mean
over
like
there?
45 days because somebody went on vacation or
So yeah,
it's not always easy.
to have a repository of past knowledge, I think is so important, and to be able to go through this and use these as a means of review. I'm just going over what we've screwed up in the past. I'm one of the few people who will talk about my errors, and I don't think there's any shame in making an error. There's a shame in not fixing the error. That's what we're constantly trying to do, is to try and find out where the failure point was and how we can do it. There's automations in here that's going to remind you several days in advance when a task gets done. How is everyone tracking their tasks right now, or their stuff? Show of hands. Anyone do it on just a simple spreadsheet? You could just push the button here. Nobody. Anybody use a CRM? Maybe. Anyone want to just send a message? Okay, Aton uses CRM. Dina, if I beg her, she'll use a CRM maybe. Okay, who's just using a simple calendar? Okay, there. Okay. People like the calendar. Great. This is not about me telling you how to work. In fact, it's the opposite of that. I can't stand when people say what worked last year is not going to work this year. Bullshit. Sales calls still work. Okay. It's not what this is really going to do. What we really need to boil down to is what really truly works for you. So if the calendar works for you, if you want to fill that up, great. Let's go nuts on the calendar. And then let's have the AI review that to see if the timeline is realistic, and we could build a strategy for this. But it's got to start with your thought of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to make this stuff work. It's got to start from what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to get these actual jobs done. So let's go through some of the deadline prompts. Extract all deadlines and time-sensitive items from the contract. List all specific dates mentioned. List all relative deadlines, e.g. within 10 days of acceptance. For all relative deadlines, calculate actual dates, assuming acceptance date of, give the date. Identify which party is responsible for each deadline. Note the consequence of missing each deadline. Okay? Deadlines, obviously, it's a sore point with me because it really does screw us up. And I just think that it's something that you likely have not considered, leaning in on the AI to be able to get this done. Calendar event generator. Okay, so let's talk about that. Based on the contract deadlines, create a calendar of events with reminders. Okay, that's the other thing. The contract is in there. You could actually take this a step further and say, ask me 5 questions to help set the time and the pace for when things have to take place. And then you could even go a step further beyond that. Who's using Google Calendar? Anyone? Great. Make Google Calendar inputs for each one of these deadlines. So you could have the AI create an actual Google Calendar link to put right into your Google Calendar. Bet you didn't know that. It's pretty cool. So if you're okay, Mark knows that, or he's raising his hand, but I don't know what he's doing. He's
Raising my hand.
raising your hand. Mark, tell everyone who you are and where you are. I'm going to pick on you a
Sure.
little bit
Good
here.
morning, everyone. I'm Marc Lawrence. I'm in New York on Long Island, and I'm a former realtor, former attorney, and now title insurance and other real estate professional. Other,
Okay.
we'll leave that out. But one of the other things actually ties into the timelines and calendars, actually, which is I do a lot of work in the 1031 space, which is very time and calendar dependent with certain requirements of identifying a property to buy in 45 days and closing within 180 days. So anytime I get a new deal with respect to that, I make sure I run that through one of the AIs as far as to confirm the dates, actually. And a lot of times people don't know exactly how to calculate. Am I doing it from the day after the 45th day, the day of the 45th day? So, and also it knows actually, or I've actually prompted it to build in a little bit of a warning too. So I add those to my calendar from calculating that and confirming that, with the AI. There's probably even better ways to do it, but nonetheless, it provides belt and suspenders to make sure I hit my dates.
Love it. Love it. Did you know that ChatGPT and Claude and all the major large language models have a pretty deep knowledge about laws in your state? You might not have known that. All 50 states and much of the world, by the way. So, whether it's Dirk in Denver or Mark on Long Island or Eitan, even in Portugal, it does know a lot of the Eitan's joining us from Portugal right now. Um, it has the ability to be able to go and get some of the deepest knowledge of the local laws. It knows the Realtor's Code of Ethics. So this is why when we brought this grievance up against this son of a bitch, it knew that he violated Articles 1, 3, and 16 of the Realtor's Code of Ethics. Okay? And it explained what each of those things were. Yeah, again, sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. I'm a nice guy, believe me. I'm mentioning it because it's just so rare that it comes up, but nobody bullies me or my team, especially if they're girls, women, excuse me, especially if they're women on the team. I had a guy that was actually literally bullying someone on my team. Not going to work. Not going to work, not going to intimidate, not going to do anything like that. Okay? What kind of a guy would I be if I let somebody happen to like that to my team? Very important stuff. AI helps you out. Um, we're going to get to wants, needs, and brags in a minute. I really hope that all of you go through all this and recognize that I don't want to change how you do stuff. I want to make you do that stuff a little bit better. So if you love your CRM, stick with your CRM, but take the time to reverse engineer all the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. Really wrestle with it. My private clients, when I'm working with a bunch of you now, the thing that I'm going to consistently ask you to do is to really think through just if you had to come up with the ideal, what is going to be the ideal minimal workload that you have to do to get this job done? And what tasks go into that? And then we ask ourselves, can it be outsourced or can it be automated? Preferably automated. Outsourced is good too. How do we cut the actual workload down significantly? A lot of you will see that I dictate. I use something called Whisperflow, which I highly suggest you look into. That's another $15 a month. Again, I spend your money very carefully, but it's an app. You could say, well, I could dictate into my iPhone. You can, but this one's a little bit different. All the oh, forget about that. Let's talk about this. It will actually use AI to put the message together of what you meant to say. Now, why does that really matter? When I'm working on my computer, I'm now essentially typing at 160 words a minute. When I do it with my fingers, it's 50 words a minute. I love efficiency. Is that worth 15 bucks a month to me? You bet. Okay? There's some great tools out there worth every penny. And good news with all these things, you can actually try it. And if it doesn't work, you could just not use it the next month. Again, another couple of lattes. And I don't believe that a large latte is $6, Dina. Okay? There, I said it. I think it's more than that. Dina with her $6 latte. And everything's a fortune now. Come on. Okay. But Greg's got his hand up. Greg, unmute yourself and please let us know.
So, um, you were talking about integration with Calendar, Google Calendar. I just this week started to give Claude um, access to some of my tools, um, Google Calendar being one of them. And it popped up with all kinds of warnings about, be careful about passwords and interfacing or communicating with financial institutions, et cetera, et cetera. And we kind of touched on this before. But do you have any advice on if I go ahead and allow this integration to take place, um, how do I be tuned in to what could be risky?
Well, I'm not going to tell you to have faith in humanity and that everybody's going to suddenly get honest. That's for sure. But I will say that it's going to have to get into that the prompts actually help. For example, I'm doing a lot of my work not on ChatGPT, but on Claude. Claude is a product made by a company called Anthropic. They have something called Claude Code. I work directly in the terminal. Again, I'm losing you. I get it. I don't want to lose anybody here, but I'm using it in a certain way where you're able to do something called building agents. We will have an advanced meeting on that. Don't get scared. Stick with me for another second, guys, okay? Agents are little programs within the AI that have a very, very specific role as it relates to the task at hand. Okay, so if I'm reviewing a contract, or if I'm doing a social media post for Jorge, which I did just last week, one of the AI agents might get Jorge's bio. Another one may format the post. Another one may check the legalities of what's going on in that post, if that's actually true. Then there might be a master one that's actually talking and putting it all together, and together they will actually debate this. Aton brought up a new tool. I've yet to see it. Aton's using it. I'm not. It's with Grok. Aton, can you? I know you normally don't mention these things, but do you mind telling everyone about it?
Yeah, so I've been using Grok and I love it. And they just came out with a new version 4.2 yesterday, and it has four agents that talk to each other before they give you an answer. So there's an agent that coordinates, one that looks of the structure, one that looks at research and analysis, and another one that does something else.
Hmm.
And it's really cool. You could see them basically have a conversation. One brings a point, the other contradicts it, the other one says, then they have a consensus, then they give you an answer. And the answers are fantastic. They're really, really, really good.
Sure.
And I compared that Claude. Claude took a lot longer to answer because it's doing all four jobs by itself. But Grok answer was better.
Okay.
And I think you can't compare the two to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a little bit behind.
Okay. And this is a
So
moving target. Go ahead, Greg. It's a moving target.
what one of the things that it offered to do, as an example, was to clean up my downloads folder on my PC.
Okay.
To go through and identify downloads that were old and could be deleted. Um, and in giving it that kind of control is, and maybe that's not a great example, but reviewing my email. So reviewing my Gmail inbox and cleaning it up for me. That's I'm a little nervous about doing that,
Yeah.
especially when we talk about divulging other people's confidential information.
You're 100% right. Look, it's with millions of people using it, there's going to be some problems, right? There's going to be data breaches and there's going to be issues, and I can't pretend that I have all the answers for you other than asking the AI to uh, to very carefully check through and see where the potential vulnerabilities are, and then do what we talked about before, AI stacking, getting different AIs to actually review and see where the dangers may lie. I would be very cautious about doing things like getting your social security number out there. I mean, it's the same thing. Pretend you're working in Starbucks. Pretend you're just live in Starbucks with the whole stuff. Do you really want to have, a stack of $100 bills on the table and your social security and your mother's maiden name and whatever else people have for security? No, you don't want that. You want to keep yourself as safe as possible. I mean, it's just so. That's the thought. Will that lead to some problems? Quite possibly. Let me just share one thing here. Again, and we are trying to be very careful. For those of you who saw this demo before, forgive me, but I think it's worth it. This is Comet. Comet is a browser put together by a company called Perplexity, a very underrated company, I would say. And right now, what I'm opening up, and again, it's hard to see because I got so much crap on my screen. They have something up here that I can't enlarge. It's called Assistant. Now, I happen to be on the IRS website because everyone I've spoken to said they can't find anything on it. Assistant will autonomously take control of your screen. Now, this is where some of the danger may lie. I'm going to do it very carefully here. Let's take a look. Can you find where I can download the 1099 form on this website? Okay, now take a look. What you see is that this is turned blue on the side. Does everyone see the little hazy blue? Maybe, kind of, sort of. And now you could also see that it's clicking, and you could see 1099 form download. It's actually doing the search, and it's coming up with the answers for me. It's actually getting it. But there's a step further. My weekly email that goes out to my database. We've got a lot of properties that have come on the market, come off the market. I will use this methodology, using this, and take the actual number of properties that, 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street, and put it in here along with all the other properties and say, can you go and get the hyperlinks to these properties from my website? And then return it to me in a grid, and it will. So I could actually get this giving a certain criteria to do the work for me. And here, as you can see, it found the 1099 form, and it shows exactly where it is. It might give how to access it. It gives you all the little instructions right there. That was a very basic example, but wow, that's really the start of truly autonomous computing. That's something that you have something going on. Maybe somebody, if you have it quickly, you could just give me something that you'd like to look up, and I could try and do it live right here. We could take a look at this. It's great. Well, I'll tell you what else. You're dealing with insurance companies. I'm getting a hip replacement. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me the old jokes. I get it. But I'm getting a hip replacement. And there was a lot of things that I had questions about with regard to my insurance company. It's called Oscar. This was great. I could just put it on that Oscar website to go hunt for what I really just I didn't want to waste the time doing it. I was curious, but it was something that I would have just not really done as well. And you could open as many screens as you want to have the AI do autonomous work. From there, putting the same methodology into this, finding out the legalities of the stuff. One other thing, I don't know if she's here, but I had one client a few years ago. She was going through a divorce, and everything she said to her husband in the correspondence was, "You dirty mother." Everything was just like a real expletive kind of commentary. And using ChatGPT, we put together some prompts to kind of soften the conversation and to get back exactly what she needed in that situation. But there was another thing that she did. Every time she went into the lawyer's office, she had hours of conversations about the details of the stuff. Using AI again, she was able to get all the questions laid out before she went to the lawyer. And instead of taking 5 or 6 hours of time, it might have taken 1 hour. Do you see what I'm saying? So when people see, and when I warn everyone about the massive change that we're really sitting on the knife's edge here, almost a COVID-19 moment where everything was open and then everything was closed, you're about to experience this. I hope not personally with the business. I hope that you heed the warning and do everything you can to fortify yourselves. But boy, we're going to go through a really tough time, is my prediction. I think that people really are dramatically unprepared. And from where I sit and from how I'm seeing it all, we're just seeing it over and over again. A major real estate company just parted ways with their chief research company to do it in-house. Well, don't tell me that's not AI doing it in-house now. Okay? Don't tell me that that's not like suddenly they had a 40-year relationship with this company and now they're not using it anymore. because they could now do it in-house. It's not that people got suddenly so much smarter, it's that they've got the tools to do that. That's just one example. There was a great lady named Jennifer, wrote my bio, wrote my website. I paid her $500 to do, different things for me. I haven't spoken to her, but she's out of business. She has to be. God bless her. I hope she's doing something great with her life, but it's not going to be that. And this is something that's happening right in front of us right now, and nobody's really paying attention. Everyone thinks that it's not going to somehow affect them. The best way through it is by fortifying yourself and by embracing this, practicing it, learning it, coming to places like this, and now, online, you can learn so much from YouTube. I think it's really, really important. Okay, enough with me chatting about that. Wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting to talk about what you want, what you need, and what you'd like to brag about. My little girl came home for the weekend. That always makes me so happy. I spent the weekend with Sophie, and now next week my older one is coming home, about a week and a half. So that's what I want to brag about. Certainly, I got business and stuff to brag about, but I said we could brag about anything. That's what I'm bragging about. What do you want to brag about?
Morning, Ed. How are you?
Hey, Paula, just tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Hi, Paula Annarumma. I'm in Queens, Northeast Queens, Whitestone, Flushing area.
Great.
So great meeting,
Thank you.
very valuable.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can hear me.
I
I
can.
froze.
Can you
Oh, there
hear
you
me?
go. Okay. And yeah, I used it. Yes, I can hear you. So I put something in the chat yesterday. It was very basic in ChatGPT
Okay.
about a list pendens because I'm buying a property in Florida. And the listing agent screwed around with the offer and the contract, which was already executed. And I said, somebody recommended to me, threaten the list pendants. And I put it in chat and they said, yeah, you can definitely do this. Spoke to an attorney here and it worked. So, yeah.
Okay.
But my next question was to Marc Lawrence. I don't know if he's still on. And I said,
He
please
is.
call me.
I am.
Yeah, so I put my number in the chat. I wanted you to call me if you can do a 1031 exchange or talk to
Yeah,
me about information about that. That would be great.
yeah, I'll reach out after the meeting. I'm
So,
sorry I missed the one about the list pendants because from my legal background, I know something about that too. And
yeah. So thank you all.
Okay. No, thank you. Okay, and good. So, Mark, you and Paul will get together to, as I used to say, get beer and chips, virtual beer and chips, maybe. I don't know, sort of. Who else? Come on, I just bragged about my baby being home. You could kind of toughen up here and tell me something. It could be that you did a closing. It could be that you got now everyone's getting into university. Does anyone have a kid getting into uni? Anyone just did anyone beat cancer? We had that on the meeting before. That's great stuff. Did any Mark?
Speaking of university, actually, I'll be speaking next week at Ole Miss University at the business school, um, basically on what you need to know about business that they don't teach you at business school. So if anybody
Nice.
has any suggestions, certainly send me a message. Things to include. Obviously, I'm going to talk about mastermind groups and a little bit touch on AI a little bit, but I'm not a professional speaker, but always looking for interesting things to share with young professional or soon to be young professionals.
Good. No, listen, good stuff. You want to review it? Let me know. We can have a quick Zoom if you want. I'd be happy to give my 10 cents. Nicole, you had your hand up, I think, unless she went away.
Oh, I put in the chat. I've learned Claude Code thanks to you.
Okay, very good. You did. And it's been great. And right now, again, talking about strategy and structure, Nicole works with us. Is instrumental on my team on the administrative end, which is such a huge thing for us, and now on the marketing end as well. So that when together we write a newsletter, she makes sure that that actually makes its way to Dina and Samantha, who are both on my team, and we're able to basically replicate news to go to different audiences, and that's largely because of Claude Code and, of course, Nicole, who's doing the effort. So thank you for that. Who else? Tanya, Renat, Peggy, was it Michelle, Marion, Babette. We got lots of people here. Dirk, Delaney, Carrie. Carrie made it here. Isn't that great from Chicago? Love that. Adri, want to brag? No? Maybe? Okay, tough crowd. Guys, thank you so much. Eitan, what's next week's topic? Do you have that handy?
Yes, I do. I do. Just 1 second. It's vibe.
Okay, yes, vibe working. So, a lot of you have heard the term vibe coding. This is vibe working. Um, Vibe coding is, traditionally coding was you had to actually learn Python and HTML and all kinds of different tools to program. Um, and then vibe coding came along where you literally just ask the AI to do the work for you. And you literally ask the AI to follow up with this. Now there's been a new terminology in business called vibe working. You heard it here first. Mazel tov. I love it. So, vibe working is essentially the same thing that you're stopping, taking a critical look at the kind of work that you're doing, and then putting systems together to have the AI handle the heavy work. It's very similar to some of the meetings that we've done before, but with one real key difference, and that is that we're going to be talking first about outcomes. Is how to delegate entire work. Okay, Eitan, great. So we're going to be talking about that and taking a critical look. I urge you to go to that meeting. Eitan, we have that just once or twice next week.
Um, I don't know.
I
I,
think
I show it only once.
okay, and I think it's supposed to be twice. I think we're supposed to do it on the 25th at 9 a.m. and the 27th at am I fucking you up here? I'm fucking them up.
It's on the 25th, February 25th. That's the date I have here on file.
Okay,
And
well,
I
so
I think you're confused.
okay, thanks you, Eitan. Eitan's my business partner and fraternity brother, and we're like kind of Punch and Judith. We just fight each other all the time. Um, if you
But
have
if
questions, definitely give me a buzz. If you're interested in coaching, it's a lot more affordable than you think. I think you need it, whether it's me or anyone else. I think that there is a means of actually putting together a business plan and continuing the growth. It doesn't have to be some type of long forever thing. Like a psychiatrist, you've seen the same person with the same psychiatrist for 40 years. That's not what this is about. I think you may very well benefit from a set of business planning sessions to be able to get the job done. I'd love to be able to talk with you about that. Again, please do reach out to me. And I'm just trying to see if there was any other comments here. Again, go to bogen.ai. You can take a look at the archive of the video and all that stuff. Terry's not in, and once again, we don't have him here to sing us out. For those of you who are new, Terry Robeson usually sings at the end of this. But I will tell you now, it's 9:52. We are ending the meeting now. I will stick around for a few minutes if anybody has specific questions about AI or anything else that I can now demonstrate. I will take the time to do that with you. But I thank all of you for coming. I would love to catch up with all of you. Adri, I'd love to catch up with you. Carrie, I'd love to catch up with you. Um, and for my coaching clients, I sent all of you the new login. Jorge, did you get yours? Okay, I sent you a
I did.
login
Yep.
to the back end. It's in beta right now, but we are keeping a repository of all of our conversations, of all the little things that we're discussing to try and get your business going here. And for all of my coaching clients, I'm just looking at Jorge here. Please, please, please do log into that and give me your feedback. It will change and change dramatically, but I think, Eitan, it looked pretty good, right?
yes,
Yeah. Okay. So that's basically it. What else? And Dirk, I'm seeing you this afternoon, right? 4 o'clock. Okay, good. Who else? What? Okay. Anyone? Anyone? Alicia? Delaney? You guys are very quiet today. I got to tell you, I'm standing on my head. Reminds me of back when I was single, I had a date with this girl once. And she just wouldn't talk. It was terrible. I was standing on my head. You're reminding me of a bad date, guys. Come on.
I'm just biting my tongue because I don't want to dominate.
Oh, come on, Greg. Everybody wants you to dominate here. Come on. Um,
Yeah. Next time.
okay. Okay, guys. Look, if you have questions, do give me a buzz. Thank you all so much for coming in. Somebody once compared this meeting to their morning vitamins. I love that comparison. It's great to see all of you, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week, at least once, for another exciting episode of Edmund's Mastermind. Take care.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you,
Thanks, Ed.
Eitan. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia.